So last meeting I updated you guys on this whole situation. I've checked into it a little more. And I mentioned the July 1st deadline to adopt airport zoning regulations. And so basically, there was a change to Florida Statute 333, which requires any political subdivision having an airport hazard area within its territorial limits to adopt and enforce airport zoning regulations. This applies to Washington County because of the airport in Northwest Bay County, which I believe is called Northwest Florida Beaches Airport. There's a small overlay district that kind of comes up from it's this southwestern side, and it's not in the county very much, but it's still here. So because of this, we need to do this. I'm still coordinating this with the state department that handles all this, and I think they're kind of scrambling just as much as a lot of counties are to do this. But what I got from them is this just applies to existing public airports and existing hazard zones. So anyway, I'm going to work with them to figure out what we need to do. I was told to look to nearby counties and see what they're doing. No one's done anything yet. So maybe the way I see it, it's good to look at what other people are doing, take what you like from it, leave out what you don't, and make your own. So I'm still trying to basically find any municipality that's implemented this already.
But as it is now, any airport, private, commercial, whatever, has got to come in front of the planning committee?
Correct. So airport is just defined, the definition of an airport, according to our land development code, is any place where an aircraft is landed, whether it be public or private.
Okay.
And to do that, if you want to construct an airport, you have to go through a special exception and development review. So you have to present engineered plans to the planning commission and the board of commissioners, as well as all the neighborhood information for that.
And we do have some other existing airports in Washington County that you could probably find out when they was established and what actually took place if it mattered.
Right. So I did come across, from guidance from the state, there's a FAA document. It's an airport design manual, and it's not, it doesn't have any authority, but the FAA uses this to, standards are applied to this for, say, runway length, runway setback from property lines, setbacks from certain structures, obstructions. That's what this whole airport zoning regulation thing is about, is it's regulating the height of obstructions in the path, the flight path to this airport. So I guess what I'm saying is there are certain things about an airport that, if you're going to put an airport somewhere, you need to have, we need to make sure that there's ample space for a runway on this property. And right now, there's not anything that says yay or nay in regard to that. So when I have some more information on this requirement for zoning on public airports, it may make sense to think about also having some standards for private airports.
But right now, we're covered as far as having an unwanted airport in one of our backyards by having it come through the planning commission, and then we have FAA state standards that we would have to.
Right. So the state also needs to
regulate,
approve the site plan,
okay,
and issue authorization.
Even for a residential?
Any
Private.
even a private airport.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So that's where I'm at with that.
So moving forward, we may want to do it on a bigger scale, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
You're going to bring us some ideas?
I will.
Back with you?
Yep.
Cool.
Any other?
Direct to medical marijuana regulations.
Okay, yeah. The last riveting subject for me today is medical marijuana. So right now, there's only 7 licensed dispensing operations at the state level, which is pretty selective for the whole state. So if your goal is to not have dispensaries in your community, that's probably a positive thing because they're being pretty selective. So could a dispensary at this point open in Washington County? Technically, yes, but it's unlikely. That being said, if the state takes a more lenient approach to this in the future, which I'm not really sure they may, maybe not, then it would be good to get the ball rolling, and at least thinking about having some kind of ordinance in place. So there's a few counties that I've looked at, so I'll just kind of give you what I've found from those ordinances. One is Sumter County, which is, I think it's northwest of Orlando, so it's a little more developed, but it's still, I think, relatively rural. So one of the things they do
Wildwood.
is,
Villages. Not that far. It is in the villages.
I mean, but it's-
Sumter County, Wildwood is very similar to Washington County.
okay. They place a numerical limit on the number of dispensaries based on population. And I think their population is a little over 100,000 or close to 100,000.
Because of the villages.
So that may, there may be other approaches. You could probably just have a flat out numerical.
You
Just-
can what?
Just
They use the same
just say
thing with
there's-
alcohol, state uses alcohol.
We can have 3 dispensaries. That's it.
But you gotta have a basis for it. You gotta have a
Yeah.
rational basis. You can't arbitrarily pick a number.
Okay. So
Wasn't there some push to have this stuff regulated through the pharmaceutical, through the, like if you get a prescription, go to the drugstore and get your marijuana?
FDA won't allow you to do that. They still don't perceive it as a medication. So
They don't consider it
they'll take that as
pharmaceutical.
So it's gonna be like a liquor store, but you'll have a marijuana store?
They sort of like Verizon. Have you ever seen how the inside of a Verizon phone? That's exactly what it looks like.
Looks like that.
But why wouldn't we use the same, Jeff, correct me wrong, why wouldn't we use the same scale as the state would consider a liquor store?
So many per county.
You're not gonna have that many, because you only got 7 dispensaries. And it would go from seed to oil, seed to sale. That company, except they don't grow it by seed, but it would, if they did, it would go from seed to sale. That same company. And there's only 7 of them. So they're not gonna, it's not like we're gonna be overrun, and they're not gonna invest a bunch of money in Washington County because the population's not here. You'd probably have one in Bay County.
The only
You
reason
know what I
they-
mean? There's one in Tallahassee right there on Capitol Circle.
The only reason I
And there's
never,
one in Pensacola.
the only reason I never see Washington have one is just strictly for middle point between Tallahassee and Escambia County, because they actually got to transport it to your house with 2 armed guards. Yeah, you don't, you don't, it cannot be, it cannot be mailed and it cannot be flew, because you enter federal regulated spaces in the mail or in the air. So it has to be driven by vehicle to your residence, to be prescribed to you. There are so many requirements.
It's amazing.
I know, this is protected so well,
It's not worth us fooling with, I can tell you.
we could do what, whatever our attorney recommends and cover ourselves, but.
I think I agree with Commissioner Bush and I guess the sentiment of the board that I don't think you're gonna see Washington County, at least in the first 24 to 36 months, get overrun with one being put on every street corner. What I would say is I do think that you will see the restrictions evolve, we will say, and there will be less and less restrictions. So something similar started in Colorado, But now they have drive-through pickup windows for medical, I mean, it's almost like liquor stores. So I think if you're not going to do anything now, if you choose not to do anything other than to regulate it, how it's regulated at the state level, is you really need to monitor it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is going, the foot is in the door and the door is going to open.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But at this point, you can't really do anything yet because the legislator didn't, they even passed over this go around as far as.
Well, I think you can do something. I think you can put together some sort of restrictions, not necessarily for today, because I don't think they're gonna have any real use today. You're really protecting if you miss as they open, getting ahead of the curve. Otherwise, you just need to monitor it routinely to see where it's going and how the laws are changing, which, you can do that as well. I think you're not, if you pass something, you're not passing it so much for today. You're just trying to pass it to protect yourself 5-10 years from now in case you miss the evolution of the law.
We could just, when our moratorium runs out.
Right, you
This
still have
month?
time.
When does it run
No,
out?
we have time, that's why we're bringing it now.
August, September.
Yeah, it's like August, September.
All we're gonna do is just re-up it, and that'll protect us in the future. But I'd like, the amount of money it takes for those dispensaries, not the actual, what is it called, Greenleaf? No,
Truly.
Truly, the one in
We
Tallahassee.
get way too knowledgeable in this.
Yeah.
area.
I still thought you was gonna go to a store and get some marijuana.
Yeah, me and Alan may need to
It's not even
get away from the
smoking
fire a little bit.
It's
But it
amazing.
wasn't gonna be.
No, it's oil.
You're 5-10 years from now, Mr. Abbott.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
there. Right now, it's all oil
Yeah, it's all-
products.
yeah.
And you can't even get it, you can't even get it in a vapor form without,
And there's only two kind of machines that you can even inhale it into vapor form, and there's only a certain amount of
Who's
clientele.
got the dominance on that machine? They didn't have it.
I think it's Truly. I think that's the one.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's.
But you have to have- you have to
it's
have-
huge money.
You have to have like Crohn's disease or something to where you can't, you have
Can't
problems
ingest
ingesting it to even get the approval to have a vapor. But they don't even, it's strict, it's strict.
There's a topical cream like a lotion, a sublingual where you put it on your tongue, and the vape. But it's not what you're thinking.
No,
Where
it's
you
not
get
what I thought.
where our sheriff's department. When I had it pictured is we don't have a, this guy's gonna hold up this cycle of weed and say this is medical, and then our problem with our sheriff's office. After we went to that conference, they pretty well curbed all of our worries.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna put our locals out of business.
We just want to protect our.
Is it? You can't give them candy.
Protect our vested interests.
It's only midnight noise and celebration from home county.
Well, our Lord tax money on
Go
benefits.
look at it.
Okay.
Truly,
Sorry.
can you put it?
You can only dispense it at airports. Is that where we're at? That have towers.
Don't have to- yeah,
Hours and Well,
David brought up 3 things, bless his heart, ain't none of them gone anywhere.
But he's worked very hard.
Just updates today, right, Dave?
just updates today.
Hey, Dave, is there anything right now you think we need to be doing based on what you've seen other counties?
Yeah, so I guess part of the reason I bring this up is because the city I lived in Michigan before I moved here, kind of had some problems with this. It was a larger city, 150,000 people, but they didn't really know how to approach it. It was kind of similar here. It's just a big gray area, but they decided to. I think they let it go a little longer than it should have. And I think at this point they have 60 dispensaries in that city of about 150,000 people in it. It's led to, there's concerns with crime, and if there's no zoning, then you can open up across from a church or a school, which is kind of, people have concerns with, so.
Have a great lunch hour.
Well, what do we need to do to protect ourselves, Jeff? We definitely don't want that to happen.
What I think we should do, David, if the board consent, is to bring the board a proposed ordinance that at least sets up a baseline that protects, from a zoning standpoint, a number standpoint, even though we're probably not gonna need it, hopefully we'll have life insurance, at least for a little while. We've got it in place, and that way we can say that we were somewhat proactive in trying to regulate it, even though it probably is not gonna need to be regulated here for a little bit. And then see what the board likes in that ordinance and doesn't like, and we'll strip anything that we think overregulates it.
Sounds good.
But we're creating, it's almost like a life insurance policy. We're
Yeah.
creating it, hopefully we don't need it for a little while, but we got it in place if we do.
Yeah, the board sure don't want the first dispensary to be located next to our annex, straight across from First Baptist Church.
And and importantly, what we need to do when we do it is we need to get a copy to the city of Chile.
Right, I talked to, actually.
Well, we do have rooms
about
over
it.
When it gets located, it's probably gonna be in this area, I would imagine, first. So if we can try to get ours set there, that would probably be beneficial for everyone.
Okay. All right, that's what I'll do then.
And maybe get it to burn into the other municipalities, if they want to adopt it.
Okay. Well, that's all my subjects, if there's anything else from the board.
Hey, we're good, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Seeing no female coordinator, I guess they don't want
We
to.
got one, sir.
Do we?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't recognize that one.
All good news?
All good. I just have the best word today.
What's the date
June, July, and August. Kevin Mooneyham.
Everybody good? All right, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was quick.
Yeah, Johnny, you got anything for?
We don't have anything.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Clerk, Ms. Johnny. Just got a few things to go through with you today. Mostly updates on where we are with some of our projects that we got going on. Wanted to give you guys a brief update on Contract A and B that C.W. Roberts is doing. Contract B, I actually have the signed substantial completion notice with me for Contract B that's signed by me and the contractor. They are completed with Contract B. We have inspected them with the county, and everybody's good with Contract B. I know that you guys have a process that you're using now for your substantial completion approvals, and so this is done and ready. I was going to give it to Mr. Hank so that maybe you can take action at your meeting next week. Contract A is actually very close to being done as well, and more than likely will be done by the time we have our meeting. Contract A is lacking 20 loads on Blue Springs Road, and they're lacking 70 loads on Strickland Road, which is the east side Strickland Road, over by our water management district, parks and so forth. So they're lacking 100 loads. There's a good chance they'll be done by the time we have our meeting, but if they're not, we'll just wait till your next meeting to try to get that done. Their completion date right now is June 9th. And so we feel very confident they're going to make their June 9th completion date. But if their substantial completion notice isn't approved at your board meeting next week, for example, then I'm not sure how your process is going to work because, legally the clock ticks until the substantial completion notice is signed and approved. And so I'm not sure if when we discussed this the first time with having a procedure in place, if we gave it a whole lot of thought on what do you do when your contractor is done, his substantial completion is complete, but there's not a board meeting until the following, 2 weeks after his deadline. So I don't know if you guys want to try to address that somehow.
I think we talked about whenever we set that up, that Tom could
Okay.
bring that to our attention like you're doing right now. We can go ahead and put some things
Okay.
in place.
I don't think, we didn't have, did we make it to where we had to have board action?
Yeah, it's good. So the whole intent was for you to, for the acceptance of the project, right? So, but what I thought we had talked about was that in the middle of, like, say, we can bring this, we're lucky we can bring this one to next week's meeting and put it on the agenda for contract A. But say it fell outside that realm, then I thought we could, then I could take it to the chairman And just
Okay.
tell the chairman and then brief the board. That
Okay.
is
Fine with us.
It's kind of a contingent acceptance.
I mean,
That's what I mean, that's basically what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Right.
Other than these two are complete. Anybody got any issues with it?
just put A and B on there.
Yes, sir.
Johnny, all I'd ask is check the rest of the roads in Cliff.
Yeah, we'll ride on the ones we haven't rode on yet.
Well, not necessarily the roads that they're fixing, but the roads that they travel in and out on, make sure we don't have any substantial damages coming and going that we need to be addressed.
And
I've been keeping an eye on you.
Okay, that's all I ask, and that just may be something that, you know,
And please make sure we don't put any rock on
New effort.
new efforts.
And that other road I told you about too, Johnny. Yeah,
That's what we done that, we finished that.
okay. Didn't do any,
We took care of that.
All right, so that handles that issue. So contract B is substantially complete. Contract A will be done probably next week. And so they're coming along pretty good. It looks like they're going to make all their deadlines for their contract. The second project update I was going to give you is on our big rock job, Graham Land Company. Right now they have about 12 miles complete. There's about 62 miles total in the contract. And so they got about 50 miles left to do, which is an unbelievable amount of roads. The workmanship they've been doing is great. We haven't had any problems with, really maintenance of traffic, fixing things as they go. Their workmanship is fantastic. They have had trouble getting rock. And so some of their suppliers that indicated at our pre-construction conference were going to be able to provide all the rock we could ever need in a million years, ran out of rock in 6 days. And so they've been going to all sorts of places for rock.
that was the reason that we went to this last bid, because this rock was plentiful,
Yes,
the
sir.
rest of them was not.
Yes, sir. Yep, that's correct.
Y'all hear what he said? Yeah.
Yeah, 6 days after they started, they ran out of rock. And so they've been getting it from Valparaiso, from Defuniak Springs. They're hauling it now from Highway 79 at the Intercoastal Waterway down there, the port down there. They do have a train on the way that's supposed to be here in about another 2 days. Part of the issue, as I understand it, is some deregulation of railroads. And so, for example, Amtrak subsidies, Amtrak is no longer being subsidized, and they're expecting CSX to lose some subsidies from the federal government as well. And so commitments on trains have been an issue, from what I understand, started about a month ago. And so they have 25 cars coming, and they have a commitment for another 25 cars. We had a meeting with them yesterday, Hank and I and my inspectors and Johnny, and they indicate they're gonna finish on time. So that's what they pretty much have to do. But I wanted to make you guys aware that it's gonna be a little more of a challenge for them than what they thought to start with, because their big rock suppliers were not big rock suppliers. So just a heads up on it. Anybody got any questions outside of that?
Are you done?
What's that?
Are you done?
No, sir, just on that topic. Yep. So we're watching them close. They're doing a great job. It's just, we gotta get more rock. So,
you know, on that side of it, are we looking like, I know me and you talked yesterday, but this was the rest of the board question. I know you voiced a little concerns about it, but the land company seems like they're right on with it, you know what I mean?
they didn't give us any indication yesterday that they're worried.
Okay, well, as soon as, if they ever give that indication they're worried, is there a way we can go ahead and make immediate contact to FEMA and let them know that, hey, this is what happened,
Yeah.
and we're gonna, it's gonna be finished within, if they can just give us 3 months, you
Right.
know, or whatever it may be, I just don't want
Yeah.
to lose this, so this is something we're watching.
Right, so we're doing bi-weekly meetings. So we had one yesterday, we'll have one in 2 weeks. I think what Mr. Hamilton asked for is kind of a State of the Union about the first week of June.
Yeah.
So that first week of June, if we think that there's a problem, which is roughly 3 weeks away, call it, 3, 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
If there is a problem, that we can raise the red flag with FEMA at that time.
Well, I don't want to panic, but at the same time, I just want this to stay very.
Right. And so, yeah, they've been operating with one crew. They have equipment on the way for a second crew. They're planning on hitting it with 2 crews once this train shows up. The roads that they've got done so far are Mud Hill Road from the Public Works Yard to Bonnet Pond. Bryant Bay Road is done. Boggs Road is done. Cedar Tree Landing Road is done. And then they completed this morning Strickland Road, and they completed this morning Tyler Ferry Road.
West.
Yes, that's West Strickland, correct. Yeah.
So the one in Hebron.
Yes, sir.
All the Strickland are about that.
Yes, sir. Yep. So, I mean, I truly believe that if they get the rock that they think they're gonna get, that they're not gonna have a problem. A couple other things I wanted to go through with you. One is, I had Miss Jackie put a spreadsheet on your iPads related to getting water out to your public works yard at Mud Hill. So our contractor that did the booster pump at Mud Hill for the town of Wausau, we got them a grant for $200,000 to put in a booster pump out there. Water line goes up a big hill all the way to your public works yard. Booster pump is in and operational. And so what we'd like to do is get water up to your yard so that you guys can have city public water and get off the well that's up there.
I thought that was the reason we put that booster pump in there.
It is one of the reasons. It's also going to service some residents that are on the way up the hill, but that probably was the largest reason that we put it in there.
We took right away something to.
Yes, sir. There was a landowner had to donate some right of way to make it happen, and they did. And so it's in an easement.
We just need to look into it there.
We do. We need to get it hooked up and running. We have met with the town of Wausau. We also met with the contractor that put in the booster pump for the town of Wausau. Had them put together a price to extend the water line, bring it into your yard, and hook all your buildings up with water. And so they gave us a price of $15,555. But there's a lot of items that were in their price that you guys could certainly do yourselves pretty easily. And so on your iPads there, she put a little sheet in there that shows what needed to be done and what items you guys might be able to handle yourselves. That are just stuff that I marked up. You know, seed and mulch, for example, is something we could probably handle. Some sodding is something that we could probably handle. There's a asphalt crossing. Where it crosses the road, there's a paved apron there now. You know, they had, $680 in there for the asphalt crossing, replacing the lime rock that was going to get tore out, and then putting 2.5 inches of asphalt back in, of hot mix back in the crossing. You know, you could probably put recycled asphalt back in the crossing and save yourself a pretty good bit of money. I listed the items at the bottom where I thought you could save a little under $3,000, which would put you at like $12,832. If you guys didn't want to bother with any of that stuff and wanted to do it, they can. If you wanted to try to save some money, you can. But
For $3,000, I don't think we need to get involved with it.
yeah,
That's fine. Now, once we do this, there's an additional monthly cost.
Yep.
That
Reoccurring costs.
That's
Right.
what comes in.
which you have a lot of costs now.
Well, what we have now, no sewage.
Yeah, there's no sewage. They don't.
Well, only thing we have now is a ward monthly or quarterly water
Testing.
test.
That's right.
And that comes out to what a year, and
I'm not sure.
we just looked at it.
Well, I look at different.
Well, you looked at the entire amount.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was.
The one individual facility put their offering rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that.
If we do it,
It's like,
I have no problem with us doing it.
I don't have it.
I would still want us to utilize our well, they already have an RPZ in it, so there'll be no cross contamination, there's no way to be cross contamination. I still want to utilize our well for all truck washing stations, all non-potable water. There's no reason to pay in a water bill when we got a 4-inch well there and asking the constituents of Washington County to pay that, and we already have a well there. If we're doing it for potable water, hey, I understand it, I can justify it, but but other than that, then.
But now, when they tie that in, they're gonna tie up our building, and as far as like the inside, I mean, when they hook that water line to it, it's.
We will have to make.
But like filling the water trucks and all like that, you don't want to buy city water for that, you know.
Right.
What, let me ask you a question, why are we wanting to tie into this city water?
I don't know.
And so Tom's concern was, Tom brought up to me that why does the county have to pay for the city to take the water to Public Works? You know, when, as a resident, the resident doesn't pay Walsall, they pay to tie into it, but they don't pay to carry the line that far.
Well, if there's additional, yeah, they do, yeah, and the impact fees or some other forms they'll pay for that, because this is adding additional line to they don't have, if they have water coming by your business, you're still responsible for the RPC as a constituent.
We
as a
paid for the
customer.
booster pump, didn't we?
No, sir, it's a grant.
Grant.
We helped them get a
That we
grant.
applied for.
The cost that you see here is legitimate cost.
It sure is high.
Well, regardless of the fact it's high or not, that's legitimate cost to get it there to you. That's our responsibility if we want to tie into their system. Unless they want to.
Yeah, I've talked to Ms. Margaret about that. You know, if, for example, they had a line coming past your property, then, you know, certainly they can tie you in at no additional cost. But if you want, if you're outside of their service area, you have to pay to have it extended.
Why not wait? Why do we want to tie into this? What's the benefits versus the
Well,
pros and
I
cons?
don't think they're drinking any of your water out there right now. I know that they're using it in your ice machine from the well, but I don't think the guys are drinking the water out there.
They have an artesian 5-gallon jug.
So they're buying water right now.
But it's not bad water, is it?
Oh.
I mean, it's been tested and it's,
And what's
It's potable water, they test it.
We
It's
talked-
just,
I had
it's
I
not
had a
chlorinated, it's
conversation
potable.
with the firing range people neither about that, because I think they also use some of the water up there, so when they have classes for their restroom facility.
It would also give you water when there's no power. If you had a power outage, you guys would have water up there as well.
We don't have,
Those booster pumps work without power.
It's got a backup generator on it.
Booster pump?
Yeah,
that's why it's $200.
yeah, generator.
The booster, the booster pump won't feed it.
Right.
The generator was.
I'm just looking for the pros and cons to hooking up to it, that's all.
Yeah,
And that reoccurring cost is
John,
real.
and we don't have a backup generator at Public Works?
We do, but it's not tied into the well. The well runs off a different spur of that.
Wow.
and your well's way back in the back, kind of,
I don't know,
at Public Works, and so, I mean, you'd still be able to use it for wash down and whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know, what I'm getting at is we're putting $15,000 out, are we gonna use enough water for what I'm asking for flushing toilets and running an ice machine? That it's gonna be even feasible for Walsall? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, you know, one of the things that will help them with as well is flushing that line. You know, you need to have an end user at the end of the line to flush all that line, so I mean, it would keep clean water in it, it would keep it chlorinated, you know, it would keep their system better if
So
they had
maybe they
user
would
again.
give us the water for no charge.
Yeah, I don't know.
The reoccurring cost is always concerned.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Can
minuscule
somebody
recurring
negotiate
cost, but I
with
just
them?
don't know if this is gonna be worth it, because, like I said, there's no reason us putting chlorinated water into a.
Johnny, you want to speak on it?
Well, I know Tom was not a big fan of it, and I'll just say it that way. So,
Can you appoint somebody to look into that with this?
Sounds
city and
district.
Come back with a recommendation.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it is your district. You live.
Well, I think Trey knows more about it.
Dre's appointed.
Does that run your road?
It's actually trade.
Johnny, I don't need no help from everybody.
Alan, you want to do it?
I can do it.
Yeah, just see what, yeah, just basically find out Cliff and Johnny, if what we're needing, and ultimately in the day, if we, what could the consumption be?
That's what I was wondering, what.
I don't think your bill is gonna be very high.
I'm not, that's what I'm saying, I'm not.
But you're paying
Yeah.
$15,000.
I like the idea of having a second source.
Well, here's something else to think about. Your well's sitting right next to your landfill.
Well, that's a very valid source.
But it's being checked also, there's no.
Yeah, I understand that,
But I do, I see what you're saying, that's the most valid concern I have.
Can we let them water?
Contamination. And
I drink it about every day.
well, we need the system. We need the system in immediately.
Can we do that?
But we couldn't put it,
He's been drinking it for 2 years and his hair's almost completely gray.
but we could put a well down and everything that comes associated with it.
If we have one problem with the well, the 15,000 will be cheap.
Exactly. So would it be to have a backup? Is it worth it for a backup? Is it worth it for?
I think it would be just for the simple reason, if you have a problem with the well, you've already got water. You don't have to go in immediately. The last well we put in the county was over 10,000, just for one well. And that wasn't a well the size that we have down there. So, I mean, 15,000 is pretty.
Where was that well?
Off of Roach Road. That's one where we got into it with the construction equipment building the road. But, that's what, 15,000 is not much compared to putting in a well. And if we had a well problem, we immediately got water. I mean, you know what I mean? I think it's a safety net that 15,000 would be worth it personally.
Okay, and now here's a question I got from Hank. Is this one of the, me and you spoke about trying to go back to a semi-annual or annual?
No, sir.
This is-
The monitoring thing?
Yeah.
No, sir, it was not part of that.
How would this not be part of that?
Because that, what we talked about was public parks.
I know, but this should still be a part of it. If this wasn't eliminated, you still have to do quarterly testing, correct?
That's correct.
I think so.
You have.
What?
Because you're
Well,
offering.
okay, bring the rest of the commission, what we discussed is, right now, we're doing
We're doing monthly testing.
doing monthly testing.
And quarterly testing on certain sites.
Because the consumption,
That's-
through water, yeah.
Y'all remember me trying to get y'all to close in drinking fountains down there?
And there are no drinking fountains at
That's what he's
those.
talking,
You know,
that's what he's talking about.
We have one, sir.
but if it's a non-public, it's
it doesn't matter if there's a drinking fountain, doesn't matter.
The drinking fountain.
If you have a big faucet.
I mean,
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
Yeah, but right now.
Right now,
right now, we drink.
yeah. So I'm asking if
If we take it loose from the building,
Okay, I
And
got
then
you.
we
and market non-potable water, then you got to test it.
that's my question. Right now, if we do this, if we go this, could this be a cost
No,
center?
it's $1,000 a month to do our testing, is what we pay on.
That one facility, is it 120 a quarter?
I don't remember the breakout, sir.
But what I'm getting at is, Mr. Abbott, is that if this facility falls underneath it and we do the other stuff that we're trying to go back to a semi-annual inspection or annual inspection.
This would be one of them.
If this is one of them, then this would be a deciding factor in my
It
choice.
definitely is one of them.
Well, then there you go, then there's your money.
Because you've got potable water there, you're offering drinking water, and you have to check it more frequently.
Okay. I think that was enough for me to decide. But now Alan can bring something back to me.
I'll bring it back now. I think we should hook up to it.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, if that's how far it's cost us, then I can understand. But I still want to do what I asked to do. Only thing I won't put to that is the bill.
Right.
Yeah.
That may be a little difficult because a lot of that stuff's under concrete. It's up to build.
Well, what I'll, let's see.
The only place we have water is the actual shop. The outbuildings, the fuel tanks, the side shop, none of that is hooked up to any water.
Okay, how do you wash your truck?
We have a pressure washer there.
At the building?
Yes.
We can simply run a line there from the well and make another spigot or another outlet wherever needed. How do you fill your water trucks?
We usually go to firehouses and do that.
Okay.
We don't have the water. It can take 3 days to fill up the water truck.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I understand also that you guys might provide water across the street to the firing range from your well.
Well, no, we're already hooked up to the, we already supply water for them.
But
They're on our way.
That's the school board, isn't that the school board's?
Sure.
Is it
Yes.
our property or their property?
I don't think it's BOCC.
I think it's
The school's property, I know that the vocational school, it's up under the vocational school's jurisdiction. But if that's something they need, we need to approach the vocational center for.
Yeah, so the only reason I brought up that point is, if you're no longer going to use the well for potable water, then you could eliminate your testing on it, but if you're still providing them with water across the street, you still got an issue, so it would be great if they hooked up also.
Yeah.
Well, there shouldn't be nothing to hook them up because we're paying all this money to get the line up.
Yeah, it should be fairly simple.
Maybe they would want to.
Now, but they're running up that other side of the street
Cost share.
road anyways, we got a bore.
Maybe the school board wants to cost share getting the water up there with us.
Maybe, that might be, it would benefit them
Hank,
just
is
as
that
well.
something?
I'll talk.
Yeah, see if that's what the bill was.
Let's split it.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
serious.
because they've got to have
Kick
water.
in a little bit anyway.
Oh, split it, 50.
Yes, sir.
No, 75.
Let's find some important stuff.
I thought that was important.
I didn't.
I'm waiting on Kirkland Road.
Kirkland Road, we responded to our comments from DOT, we're hoping to get cut loose any day.
So we should be able to do something
Yep.
next week.
We don't need anything else from you guys. You guys already said put it out in bid as soon as we got approval. So we got the packages ready to go. We're just waiting on some thumbs up from DOT and we'll be advertising. Yes, sir.
Last meeting, we talked about, I called it Brown Street, I called it 8th Street. Hank, help me, what road is that?
First Avenue.
First Avenue, when the gentleman come in there and part of the city, did we appropriate money for that?
I don't know that we appropriated money, but we did approve it.
Okay.
We approved
Doing it.
because they had a contractor on Fifth Street.
And we got,
GAC.
we got the profit.
We're moving,
We haven't talked about it since we got the profit.
But I thought if it was run to, what was the price?
44,000.
44,000.
We said, we all said go for it. Okay. Now, why that contractor is there on First Street, we've already appropriated money for the slippage and the cutout of Brickyard Road and Orange Hill, the turning lanes.
at the signal.
Okay. I didn't know you appropriated money for that.
Yeah. Last, the cash carry forward or carry over,
I
it was 52.2.
Okay.
was our estimate. Why they're over there on First Street, at the same time, let's get these same asphalt people and add to it, and let's get that fixed right now.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Get these
So
asphalt people.
I'll make
I guess,
it.
where do you want to take the 44,000 from? That's the funding source is all I need there. Something out of the transportation fund.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman?
Where you gonna take it out of?
Wherever it's legal.
Okay.
No, I mean, I wish Tom was here because, I mean, he knows his budget more than I do.
Yeah, and I didn't bring it up. We have money in the transportation fund to pay for the extra 44,000. So I'll tell you what line item we put it.
And so, just for a point of clarification on Brickyard Road and Orange Hill, we're gonna come on back from all four directions, mill all four directions, and resurface all four
We
directions?
talked about sawing it and redoing it.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right.
That was the estimate that you come to us with.
I think we got two estimates, didn't we? We had an estimate from C.W. Roberts.
GAC, I think, is the one that we're using.
That's
They're
correct.
already here.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was 52.2.
GAC's was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's them coming in from out of town, they're relatively close now,
Yeah.
so they.
So they're leaving and not some of that.
Gotcha. See if we can maybe eliminate a mobilization charge or something like that on them.
Absolutely. Yes, we want-
And if they can't, you still want it done.
Okay. Well, you're not supposed to say that.
I didn't.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Tell Derwin already offered us
It really
$10,000
is,
I think, for one time, they don't go here and do that again.
If you ever get one of them turning lanes on a motorcycle or something like that.
Yeah, it's bad, yeah. Yeah.
We can eliminate that, just no motorcycles in Washington County.
There you go.
Unless you're driving to the airport to pick up the marijuana.
Right.
And you have to go by the towers.
All right, so we'll take care of that.
Alright.
Anything else I can address or answer? Anybody got any questions?
Very good to see you.
The only thing I
Thank
had, Cliff, is I know there's a July 14th deadline for the Deepwater Horizon projects. And I
That's-
heard it on the news, and they're going through some of the projects that Bay County had applied for.
Yeah, Bay County just got theirs approved by the Treasury Department.
And I know one time we talked about looking at some of the termination points of our roadways at the river. And some of what they had was similar.
Right.
And I was wondering, do we need to put something together and apply for some of that money? I mean, July 14th is a deadline.
Yeah.
But they said on the news that it won't, it's a deadline for this initial phase, but then there'll be other deadlines. But we talked about that at one time, about applying for stabilization and different things.
We did. We talked about unpaved stream crossings. There was an unpaved stream crossing project that you guys, Walton, and Holmes, all three turned in on.
Right.
So we turned it in as a restore project with the three counties. It did not rank high enough to go very far. DEP took that project under their own wing and did get it funded for $1.1 million. And so they've hired a engineering firm to do an evaluation of all 700 stream crossings.
For $1.1 million, what I got?
$1.1 million.
Well, it's gone now.
Well, they're not actually doing any construction, it's all study.
Yeah, that's gone out.
And so, unfortunately, I wasn't the engineer doing a $1.1 million study.
Yeah,
So,
that's great work.
but- yeah, but I will tell you that the end of Potter Springs Road is a place where it would be so easy to fix all the erosion that's discharging directly into the creek. I mean, if you look out in the woods at the end of Potter Springs Road, you can see for acres where clay has piled up down there.
Beverly Pit.
Yeah, Beverly Pit, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of places that need to be fixed. You know, I wouldn't mind trying to put something together if you want to submit them individually, maybe get with Johnny and Danny and come up with a list of ones that you want to try to do.
I just think it's an opportunity that's there, we need to take advantage of. Bay County, it's amazing how much money they got. And one of them was to do, one of them was just for a study was $1 million. They appropriated $1 million to study, what was that?
It was an offshore discharge for stormwater, to take all the stormwater off the beach and discharge it 1,500 feet offshore. It was $1 million study.
Just a study. But,
That was my project, thank you very much.
You're gonna push it out there so it can push back in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I just wanted to bring that up. I wanted to see if
There's plenty of land.
anything we can apply for, we
Yeah.
need to apply for to try to get some of that money.
Yeah, we need to study some more stuff, for sure.
You studied.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So far, we've accomplished nothing.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. First thing I got is I'm looking for permission to purchase a vehicle for the Ag Center. We will take the money out of the salary savings from when Julie was on hiatus. We'll also get about a $1,500 trade-in value on a vehicle that they currently have, leaving a $17,000 bill to purchase a new vehicle. It'll be a F-150 4x2 Super Crew vehicle. So we'd like to get permission to
What
get
happened
it.
to the car?
If we're gonna use the money's gonna come from the transportation funds. So what we wanna do is, once Ag Center has used the truck for whatever it's gonna use for, then that vehicle will roll into the public works fleet and become a public works vehicle. So we're trying to keep it all so that now, so we don't have to sell it when it gets bad or whatever. So we can continue to use it for whatever public works needs to be. That's the intent.
Is there life expectancy? Is this something you'll use till we're out, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. The 3 vehicles that we have in our fleet right now
Yeah.
are all 15 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we've worn the life out of them.
So the
But
longevity-
we've been good stewards of them too.
Absolutely, hey, we appreciate that.
Judy, didn't we just buy a brand new van?
We do have a new passenger van, yeah. That's mainly used for transporting volunteers
Yeah.
and youth
Kids
to
to
different
different
kind of
functions.
events and functions. This would be for our faculty and staff to use, mainly from ISTs, trainings, teaching. And a lot of times, you know, we all teach on the same nights. Like last night, we had 3 classes going on. They had to be the Ag Center, but usually that's not the norm. You know, usually we're going in different directions around the county.
But y'all go out to farms and stuff too. Would this vehicle be used for your guys to go out to the farms?
They would probably use the older trucks
Uh-huh.
that are, you know, especially like the 06 that we have. The transmission's starting to slip on that, so, you know, we foresee having to replace a transmission on that pretty soon in the future. This would be mainly road miles.
Could
know,
you
so-
replace your 06 truck with this one?
Then you had to get some for transportation still.
Yeah.
I
What
like
do
how
y'all
you,
got, Julie? I'm sorry. What do y'all got as far as vehicles? I know you got a new van, you got an old van.
Yeah,
You
we've
got
got
an
an
old
old
truck?
minivan, and then we've got an 06 truck that we traded for that Kubota.
Right.
That was purchased, you know, and never used by our office, not by me. And then we've got an 01 pickup truck also, an F-150.
Well, how you call it, put transmissions on that refresh.
Yeah, because Mark Malden, our Ag and Natural Resource agent, he can work on anything, thank goodness. And he has really tuned up that 06 truck, because when we got it, it was in rough shape. But he has worked on it, and it's got it running really, really well.
Well, this all just use local then, just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my question is this, when we first talked about it, we talked about a car. How
Yeah.
much, what was the cost difference in the truck and the car?
So about $4,000, about 21,000 versus 25,000.
Cheaper,
Correct.
the car?
Yeah.
And
So-
then if
well,
it's all-
it was an SUV type, like an Escape.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, I mean, I remember we had this conversation. But my thing was, it was gonna be used for travel.
that's so much better suited.
And the fuel mileage, to me, would be a big factor.
You're the able to haul your luggage inside of it.
I mean,
Yeah, because you take a group or your memos, your poster board, whatever it may be.
And so, and the only reason, I mean, we'll get whatever the board desires to do,
Well,
but the intent was, or the reason why you got the truck quote was because we can roll it back into the public works fleet, and then now that truck now becomes the truck that runs the guy to the grader.
but you can, yeah, but you can, but see, my thing is this, because, I don't know, my thing was, were you gonna be able to share with the board? I mean, like, if we had somebody going out of town and.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no conflict, see, that's what I was looking at, was a multi-use vehicle that, you know, that, hey, if somebody's gotta go to a convention and something that gets good fuel mileage and is suitable for groups and.
Yeah, and same way with the passenger.
What are your needs? What do you need?
Yeah, what do you want?
We need something that is interstate worthy, that gets good gas mileage, that has, well, not gas mileage, yeah. Cruise control, our luggage is protected, our posters are protected, our materials and supplies when we teach are protected.
But also, now, let me throw a stick in the mud too. And I heard what you said. So if you get 200,000 miles on this truck, running it up and down the road, that 06 is gonna be dead.
Yeah.
You may wanna put that over to the guys running to the farms, rather than taking it to public works and so on and so forth. I still think they ought to have their own fleet rather than, anyway, so you can, because you're not gonna be able to find it.
Right.
Well,
Well,
I'm saying.
one of the money, we have it in the transportation fund to purchase it, and so, that was a factor as well, as
You're
that.
gonna transfer that over to her budget.
You can, absolutely.
It's
Oh,
a real cost.
I mean, I guess you can.
It's a real cost to the y'all.
So, yes. One of the pleasures.
It's a real cost. It's a real cost to your department.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't want to show it to,
Buy what you need now rather than buying what you might need in the
Well,
future.
the
Get an
first
SUV,
one you
get an
came up
SUV.
with was your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, a Ford Escape.
Well,
Yeah,
Tom's
there you go.
concern about that as well was, because, you know, he's like, if it's coming out of my fund, A, I don't want a Ford Escape in the
Right.
public works fleet, and B, Ford Escape's resale value or life expectancy
it's crap.
is not.
Well, no, that part of it I didn't,
With a capital C.
I mean, that part of it, I don't, but I just didn't see, for the needs that I was told that they needed it for, a pickup truck is kind of a waste of time and energy.
Well, a four-door pickup truck with a tonneau cover or whatever will suffice. And A, give you more money at an auction 15 years down the road.
Resale value.
And get you
Right.
11 miles to get on
Yes,
I was
yes,
just
sir.
thinking small, because I was just thinking cheap, you know?
So,
Well, I doubt we don't think that way here.
but I mean, we can, if you wanna buy her an Escape and she's happy with that, that's fine, we
Whatever
can do
that you,
that.
I want whatever that you
Trying to
think
give
that
you all
your
the-
department needs.
Yeah.
I mean, we get so heavy.
Both of them would be, would be useful for sure. I just need a, if, you know, if we do end up with the 4-door truck, I need a cover on the back of it so I can protect materials and supplies. and
Okay,
luggage and that kind of
get
thing.
a 4-door truck with a cover.
Are you sure, whatever the pleasure of the board is what we'll do.
What do you want? What would best suit you? Nobody's person.
Space-wise, a truck would.
Absolutely, that's what we need.
You know, we haul big
As
things.
long as you get the cover.
Yeah.
I think you can put that on the consent agenda as long as you get it off the floor.
Yeah, we will. All right, yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, the next item
Oh,
is,
Mayor.
that's good discussion. The, road abandonment, this is for Dickinson Lane, currently an easement into the property, it's on the county maintained road list, I'd like to abandon that. All the prerequisites have been met with public notices and things like
Sounds one for me. You're gonna recuse yourself from delivering
that.
that?
I won't vote on it, I promise.
Oh, wait a minute, no, wait a minute, I changed my mind, I know we drove.
Don't we go through there with dump trucks to
Not at all.
unload,
I
road
haven't
asphalt
given-
over in the stockpile?
I haven't given you my gate code to get through
We don't need one.
there.
When we're driving a dump truck, we sure don't need a gate code.
That's right. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll put down a consent thing.
Oh, my God.
The lap sidewalk design award is the, we got one, for Hoyt Street, South Boulevard, we got one, company, All Day How. So they submitted there, so we're seeking permission for approval to design, Ussery Road sidewalk project. And it's pending price negotiations, but the price cannot exceed $13,500 because that's what we're getting. So we'd like to do that. I just talked to Dan Miner recently. They've been real impressed with All Day How. They like the work that they've done as well.
Okay.
So, sir, if you'd like.
This is just the design, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that consent, sir?
Sure.
Thank you. And then also the budget amendment, we've done a couple of changes with the custodial services, moving them in departments, and then the inmate crews, moving them down to public works, and now we're just trying to make the money trail follow the org changes, so we'd like to amend the budgets to reflect where they're coming out of and stuff.
Sounds good to me.
All right, sir. And then, that's all I have. The employee handbook will be pushed till Mr. Joyner's able to.
Yeah, well, no.
That's all I have, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Mr. Attorney?
Good morning for about 20 more minutes. Got two things I want the board to consider. One is a very simple resolution. As we discussed at the last board meeting, we were trying to clarify some issues in our comprehensive plan and LDC regarding the designation of certain wetlands and conservation areas. The Planning Commission basically asked for an opinion from the board with respect to how we want to deal with certain issues, and we kind of broaden that and say, let's do a resolution whereby we try to proclaim that we're open for business and make the process by which we make people the timing of when they designate certain wetlands and conservation areas more flexible for businesses and more reasonable for businesses. So here is the proposed resolution I'd like to read, and if you like it, we'll put it on the agenda. If not, I'll make edits to it. It's very short, very simple. It says, whereas the Washington County Planning Commission has requested guidance regarding the Washington County Board of County Commissioners' intention regarding the process and sequence involving wetland and conservation land delineation, and whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners is in a pro-growth, pro-business, and pro-development, and desires to set forth an appropriate balance of protecting the interest of our citizens and our natural resources, while also making sure that outside business enterprises understand that we are open for business. And whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners believes that the clarification regarding the issue of wetland and conservation delineation serves and strikes such a balance, and whereas the following language regarding the interpretation of wetlands and conservation land delineation was made by the Washington County Planning Commission, and whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners believes that the following clarifications in the best interest of the citizens of Washington County. Now therefore, one, this is the language that was specifically requested by the Planning Commission, I believe. It is the intent and policy of the Washington County Board of County Commissioners that the definition of, delineation of, and legal descriptions of wetlands and conservation areas be established to comply with the comprehensive plan and land development code requirements, either as part of the development order, this is important, or alternatively as a condition of the development order prior to final issuance of permits necessary for construction. Wetlands and conservation lands published as part of the Flume series may be used for general planning and land use changes subject to correction at the time of more specific delineation by survey. Upon adoption, this resolution shall be provided by the Washington County Planning Department to the Washington County Planning Department staff to the Washington County Planning Commission. And then it's duly adopted. And so the idea there is generally just to say we're open for business and then set forth, and I'll let our planning department and maybe Jim, who is dealing with this issue right now, speak more from a actual operational standard or approach. But the way I understand it is this will give a potential developer a little bit longer period of time to set forth certain wetland conservation specific designations by survey prior to building, obviously, but not so early in the process that it's going to cost them an unusually large amount of money to even get this thing started. And so it was kind of vague about what the intentions of our board were in that process. And I think we can strike a balance of we're going to get them designated and delineated before you start, we'll just say vertical construction for lack of a better term. But we're not going to require them so early as to financially strap you from really doing anything and getting the ball rolling with the process. David, is there anything that I missed with that? Jim, anything that you would like to add from your perspective?
I think it'll work fine.
David, anything from you?
I think you hit it.
Okay. So that's generally what I've got down. The language is specifically from staff and the Planning Commission. I put the whereases in there just to kind of set forth the general policy so we can establish what our goals are for the Planning Commission. And we'll put it for potential approval next week if it's okay with you all.
Very good, appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Second thing is our $3 million line of credit. So to give you guys an update where we're at with that and what's coming your way. These are the documents that we are finished doing with Regions Bank. We are going to bring forth an ordinance for public comment next week. And after that public comments, we will go ahead and adopt that ordinance. One kind of interesting thing that we decided, Ms. Bell, I don't know if you've been kept in the loop, in the last 24 hours, we determined that we're probably going to delay the closing until June. So we will pass the ordinance and delay the closing. The reason is that the loan is for 364 days. If longer, by law, we have to go off a referendum based on the type of taxpayer dollars we're obligating. So by pushing it out until when Hank needs it, another 20 to 30 days or so, that'll just extend that 364 days. This is going to happen so fast, I don't think we'll need the time, but it's kind of a catch-all situation just to give ourselves a little bit of buffer. So we will pass the ordinance next week. It's been advertised. Bond counsel from Balch and Bingham will be here to kind of go over it again with you. But the ordinance we pass, and then we will close sometime around June 20th. And the money will be available for disbursement. I know Hank has got a plan with staff on how they're going to use and disperse that money. But again, it's basically a 1-year locked-in rate, fixed rate loan. revolving, well, it's a line of credit is essentially what it is.
For
FEMA. FEMA. It's
Yes, designated for FEMA purposes only.
FEMA payment.
The rate is locked now. In other words, us delaying until June 20th, if
The-
interest rates go up.
The rate could go up.
Oh, okay.
The rate could go up. We had that discussion yesterday. In fact, that was the real big risk, and that's what kind of why I want to bring it to your attention. It's not a real big risk. The risk in the deal is if rates tick up a little bit in the next month. But again, this is a reimbursable line of credit. So
It's no risk to us.
we're assuming everything with FEMA goes as it should. It is what it is for you all. But that is if there is a potential downside and something fell through with FEMA and you were on the hook for it, that interest rate could affect you.
we don't need it, we're not gonna pull it.
Exactly. And it'll be zero cost to the taxpayer of Washington County.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's just a float loan to get the contractors paid and get reimbursed by FEMA. So we don't strap ourselves where we can't do anything else in the county. So that will be publicly heard and for your ordinance approval next week. Thank you all.
Mr. Bell, do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, we'll put that on the consent, for approval of that order.
Well, we're gonna have a hearing first, I guess.
Oh.
Need a motion to adjourn.
We
Not so fast.
No, I'll leave here.
Not so fast. I got a few things. But one thing I've made myself a note is I wanted to thank Robert and Neville for building us a nice dais. It's very nice to be able to look across and see everybody.
Sort of nice. It's all right.
But, and I want to commend them and say it's an excellent job and it's very comfortable and sure appreciate their work. The other thing that's on y'all's drive is, well, now it's on your drive, is the resolution for Grandparent Alienation Day. We did it last year. And you get a copy of that, you can pull it off the drive. And I just wanted to put that on the consent agenda next week if everybody's in agreement with it. And then the other one, I didn't know what happened to our appointment of the MSBU board.
Oh.
It's next.
So here, yeah, that's great. I apologize. Hank this week sent me the list of the 5 names. And so what we were going to do is we're going to have the public hearing on the ordinance next week. I apologize, Mr. Bush, I just overlooked it. The ordinance will be read and hopefully approved by the board next week. Part of that step will be a very simple resolution, which we'll ask for you all to approve, that just basically says here are the 5 names that Hank sent me earlier this week. So we've got the 5 names. That resolution will be on the agenda next week. After we adopt the ordinance, we'll approve the resolution with the 5 first names on the MSBU committee. So they have been given to me by Hank.
All right, then what happens after that?
Yeah.
That committee's formed.
I would suggest at that point that Hank and his staff create a nice cover letter with a resolution and the enabling ordinance, so to speak, and then probably call whoever he designates in his staff, call those 5 members and say, this is kind of what the ordinance says, you guys have the authority to do now. We may also at the first meeting, I don't mind going to the first one just so they have a general idea of what sunshine looks like and kind of the general requirements they're supposed to be playing under, and try to help them get started from a county standpoint.
Okay, that means probably relatively close to the time the inauguration of the ordinance.
Yeah, I'm thinking early June is hopefully they're getting together.
I just know I've been asked questions by my,
Yeah.
I won't have
Are they
questions.
meeting here? Is that when? Yeah, I wanted to be here.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure.
from a minute standpoint, everything else.
That'd be great.
Work better, take me sure. Thank you, Mr. Bush, I apologize for that.
Only thing I have is we discussed and I'm sure that's what Mr. Bright's here for, they're moving back the 911, bringing them back in-house. Spoke with Sheriff Cruz, we've come to an agreement that everyone's got it on their drive. You should have a letter from Sheriff Cruz stating that the requirements he has, and it's very minuscule. It's no money out of our pocket. They use a little bit of money out of the E911 to help fund the 911 or the dispatch supervisor. I spoke to the board, I didn't feel that we would have any problem with that.
Well, it was contingent upon,
Okay.
request is
Well,
contingent
yeah.
upon your meeting.
Okay, well, I just wanted to be sure that the board had no problems with that, moving forward with that. There was some other stuff that was put into a second letter that you should have.
And that's all tax.
Can we start October
That's
first as far as
absolutely,
money?
yes, ma'am, that's what I was gonna get to.
Okay.
If, on the board's discretion, that I'd like to see, and the sheriff's okay with this, that they stay under the sheriff umbrella until October 1, next budget cycle, but they'll go ahead and move here to our facility.
That's all.
Okay, and then,
You should be Clint, it says Clint ladder.
I just read it.
Oh, there it is. And the other letters from Clint, and, as y'all see, there's a few requests that him and Deidre themselves had, or not necessarily requests, just, well, we have requests from the best use of the word.
But
We're gonna work on the one, with Marla. Me and Marla sat and talked, and she's gonna provide me a letter, to be fair to them, that we're gonna have their salary when they left, and whatever step raises they should have got, if they stayed under the board's direction, that will be what their salary is. If they've received them, or if they haven't received them, that'll be,
that's fair.
and as long as the board's good with that, then there's some things that the sheriff agreed to Mr. Erickson that is personal, that, you know, his time off, he'll dock his time if he has to attend a commission meeting, and he'll be accounted for his time. But, everything else, as long as we're all good with that, then there's no hitch in the giddy up. They'll come back and we'll be in good shape, and there won't be no arm wrestling match.
I just don't want to lose sight of the reason that we want.
No, but it's
a one-stop shop to benefit the citizens of this country. Period.
and
Them requests that he's asked, I don't have any issue
okay,
with.
that's all I need to know. That's just the request. Mr. Attorney, does this need to be a board vote to bring them back under?
I thought the board voted the last meeting.
They did, didn't they?
Can we approve contingent on his meeting? Upon your meeting.
Okay, so we're in good shape
I
now.
think it's approved.
It is.
But, now, they're not gonna come back underneath us financially.
I wish I'd rolled on
Oh, me too. Me
No,
too.
after the new budget year, they will, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's fine.
Is that fine?
Yeah, let's just do something real simple in the minutes, maybe in the consent. I'll do some sort of resolution or something whereby we've just got to clarify the minutes are coming back under the board now, but under the financial aspect, they're not coming back under until October 1, just so we've got some clarification.
That's a good time, yeah. Okay. I just want to be sure we was all good on that, but that's all I had.
Hey, may I, I just want to give you an update. Yesterday, or Monday, the senior planner job position closed, announcement. We had 0 applicants. I'm sorry, we had 1 applicant who was not qualified. Building official, we have 2, it closed yesterday. We have 2 applicants, and we'll be calling those people in for interviews.
So your planner, you didn't have anybody that qualified to?
Don't do that yet,
That's correct.
We did not, but we want to put it back in.
Yeah, so, I guess the question is, would you like for me to react? And this time, go broader, cast a broader net.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Final thing, we went through this legwork, how, to put our, to make the building department a more fluent thing that we said, how, okay, we brought everybody back, but if we don't give any direction, you know, how are we gonna fix it, you know?
I want to get it staffed.
Okay, so we're just gonna kind
Yeah.
of, but what I'm getting at is, we've got to find a way that we want, how we want it to flow. How we want, a gentleman, I don't mind saying, I had a gentleman that come to me that said he was gonna build a pole barn on a certain parcel of property, and asked could I make a phone call, and I told him that I wouldn't, I wanted him to take notes for me. Of the scheme of things, how long it took him to get this. It took 7 trips for a pole barn permit and driveway permit. We got a broken system.
Yes, we do. This is the first step of getting it fixed.
Okay, but I'd like to have someone, Mr. Hamilton, do you feel comfortable going down, or would you like the commissioner with you, and so we can how we can fix this, how the order operate. I don't think the personnel is not the issue. It's our order of operation that we have for the county that's messed up, you know. We live in a technology filled society.
Would you like to, I mean, the chairman is,
Yeah.
has got to.
Yeah, but we have to, instead of the building department taking and scanning the document of Ms. Bell, me and her already spoke about it, the gentleman had to leave and carry a document to Ms. Bell's office.
You're right, you're right, you're right.
We
You're
got to
right.
fix that, that's our responsibility.
They didn't scan it in?
They could have.
Yeah.
Why didn't
But
they?
I don't know. They told
I'm
me
telling
that
you,
they
yeah, it's
had
not
to
Ms.
bring
Bell's
it
fault.
to our
No,
office.
90% of it is communication.
Exactly.
And I like
And
to,
trying to help
if you don't mind,
every way
Chairman,
you can.
I'd like to be involved with this, with Mr. Hamilton, and then see what we can fix.
Well, I don't know if I can do that, because you didn't want the last one.
I don't want to, I want to fix water problem also, y'all handle that, that's,
I got that hand.
they got that under control.
All right, Mr. Hoffman, you take care.
Okay, well, I'll bring back a report next meeting, not next week.
He won't
And your
downsize
resident
permits,
is
he won't
to be
downsize the voting precinct.
So, we're gonna have this place to, yeah, I appreciate that committee too, by the way.
And your residents to be commended for taking it on the chin.
Yeah,
And
I didn't close everyone down District Three.
it makes me happy that you've seen that the system's broken.
Yeah,
I
but
want us to work on our procurement policy next. As soon as we get this,
yes,
the personnel policy done, I want us to move over to procurement.
all right, that's all I had, Mr. Chairman, I just want to be sure we're on the same page.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to adjourn.
Second motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.